episode of BET GPT. We're checking in on, I believe this is episode 26. So we're coming at you live today. It is Thursday night. The game is just kicking off right now. So Slade, before we get into a little recap, just like rapid fire, what do you like tonight? Who's going to win? Over, under? What are you thinking? Trevor Lawrence.
I don't even care.
Trevor Lawrence is active, by the way. So we didn't.
I was going to say, I don't care if Trevor Lawrence is playing or not. I'm still taking the Jags.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Jags will win as well, but I really like the under. So I put a little bit of money on the under tonight.
If CJ Beathard was playing, I still would lay the point with the Jags. And also they're underdogs, so you get 2 points.
True.
I would play a money line personally.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Let's just get into it here. We got, where are we at here? Man, we're just making so much money. It's hard to keep track of it, to be honest with you. We're up 10.29 units. As we like to say every single week, we still have the Gunnar Henderson future pending. So really, we're at like 12 something, but
I Googled when that cashes. It's not till November 15th.
All right, so
we still have like a month, like 4 full weeks.
All right, so we're still at 10.29, but we'll be rising up soon. We have another 6-pack for you today. 3 from me, 3 from Slade. We'll run through those. We also have a surprise guest pick, so we'll be making a little live phone call. Hopefully they answer and can give us a pick. And then, then we'll do NFL, talk a little more Hawkeye football. I have some player props I want to go through, like just a little preview. Deacon Hill's passing over under. You want to guess what that is?
100?
105. Pretty sharp.
Oof.
Close. I'm pretty sure it's gone under every single week. It's hard not to, because I think it was at like 134 last week. But yeah. So I have some player props for you. And then there's some big games. We got Ohio State, Penn State, and then USC, Utah, and a couple other games. So we can get into those. But all right, would you like to start with your 6-pack plays?
All right. Well, you already kind of talked about Iowa, so I'll just get it started. I mentioned last episode I'm going to play the Iowa-Minnesota under 31.5. Last year's game was 13-10. Iowa's game last week was 15-9, so that was, or 15-6, so it was only like 21 total points. Every time, I think I was like 5-1 going under in spreads that have like a total of like 34 or less. So I'm just going to keep betting the under until they prove me otherwise. They're also now without maybe their best offensive weapon and Eric All, you have to imagine that defenses are going to start to think, just load the box. The only way Iowa can maybe score now is just going to be like Deacon Hill on a long ball. But also Minnesota, they deserve just as much of the blame for why this total is low. Iowa and Minnesota are the 2 lowest ranked offenses in Power 5 football, and they're the 2 lowest ranked passing offenses in Power 5 football. You throw in Minnesota has an above average defense. Iowa has, probably a top 15 defense. It's just compounds this issue. I could see this thing being very low scoring. I'm going to keep playing Iowa unders until I lose. So that's my pick.
Well,
Iowa under 31.5.
Play it until you lose. You might never lose. So
I know your record would be pretty damn good the last few years.
Where it's going to be like, welcome to BET GPT episode 728. We're taking the under in Iowa, Washington in the year 2029.
I try to fade the public on stuff, but this is just too easy. And I think Vegas would love to do a 26-point line, but they know that they can't do that. They have to keep it above 30.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my only college one. I'll go into my NFL one.
All right, that's minus 110, correct?
Yes, okay. Yes. I'm going to go with the Packers -1 versus the Broncos. I've seen -1.5 in some places. I don't really care which number I get. I'm still going to take the Packers if it's 1 or 1.5. That is -110. That is going to be in Denver. The Packers had a bye last week, so maybe they can clean some things up. Maybe LaFleur can have a better game plan to help cover up some of Jordan Love's flaws. Maybe they get there a little bit early and can acclimate their body. I know you love that. So
Yeah, this isn't
I
London, but it is Mile High. So
yes, it's the closest home field advantage, I guess, in that regard in America. Um, so I have the Packers -1. I think the Broncos are probably like what second, third worst team in the NFL. If the Packers don't win this game, who are they going to beat the rest of the year besides the Bears? Like they could seriously not win a game the rest of the year besides Chicago if they can't beat this team. Um, I mean, hell, they don't, one of their wins is against the Bears, and like their record's not great right now anyway. But yeah, that's my play. It's an emotional hedge for me. If the Packers lose, selfishly, I'm happy. If the Packers win, I make money for something that seems pretty obvious and in your face. Do you want to make an announcement about your Jordan Love fandom? I have a text message from you I can read to the
well,
audience
I
if
was
you really
texting my
want me to.
friends today. And I have been pretty high on Jordan Love, I guess the past 7 weeks since the start of the season.
He's only played 5 games,
Okay,
so
yeah. So anyway, his 5+ games. Um, things haven't been good for him. He's looked really bad. I'm asking my friends if I can denounce my fandom for Jordan Love. They're on the fence about it. There might be a vote in our group chat, but if they vote no that I have to remain a fan of him, I'm just going to blame everything on the Aaron Jones injury. Which, since Aaron Jones is trending to play Sunday, I do lean the Packers, and I like that. Do you still like the Packers -1 if Aaron Jones ends up being inactive?
yes.
Okay.
I don't care if it's AJ Dillon.
All right.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. So you got Packers -1, -110. Then what's your third?
This one's a little off the grid. Maybe I have the Bucks -2.5 versus the Falcons. Um, I know I had the Bucks in my top 10 last week, and then they lost, so they did not make my top 10 this week. But this play is really more about the Falcon. My lack of belief in the Falcons. The Falcons have played 6 games this year, 4 of which have been at home. One has been international, so they've played one road game this year, which I feel like is kind of crazy. Um, Away from home, in their 2 games, they scored 6 points against the Lions and 7 against the Jags. So through 2 games, they have a combined 13 points when they're not in Atlanta. If you look at their 3 wins, it's against the Panthers, probably the worst team in the NFL, the Packers, probably a bottom 5-6 team in the NFL, and the Texans, who probably right around bottom 10 maybe, but they're still young and inexperienced, and it was at home. That Texans win was by 2. The Packers win was by 1. They just lost to the Commanders by 8 last week at home, and we know that team just got pounded by the Bears the week before that. Ritter's seat is warm, so I think maybe he's feeling a little pressure. And then I really still don't think the Bucks are that bad. They might not be a top 10 team, but their only losses this year are to the Lions and the Eagles. So I don't know. I'm willing to roll the dice. I know Baker's got a bad hand. It's his non-throwing hand. He practiced fully yesterday. He still has 72 hours before game time or whatever. So I don't know. I think he'll be okay. And honestly, maybe it's a good thing that he will play within the pocket, maybe more play within himself, not try to do stupid stuff, try to like stay healthy,
If you had to,
limit some of the dumb
if you
plays.
had to start an NFL franchise tomorrow, and you had to pick between Baker and Desmond Ritter, who are you taking as your QB?
Baker. It's not even
It's not close.
Baker.
Okay.
Yeah, Baker. I don't like Baker, but you're also comparing someone who was a number 1 pick and had like all this hype around him in a good rookie year, and then he got like overvalued versus someone who I just think plain sucks.
Yeah, and Baker did look good once he was finally healthy, and like I know Carolina wasn't necessarily a good fit, but I think that was more because that was like a really bad team. When he went
Yeah.
to the Rams, he ended up playing a lot better in that McVay system. So, yeah, I definitely think that I would prefer him even as a Baker hater, as someone who got tortured by him in Cleveland. But I'm over it. The
Yeah.
past is the past. I like the Bucks.
We know that he has a ceiling that looks good. It won't be consistent, but he is capable of at least doing it. I don't think Ritter is capable of even having one game he goes off
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2.5 is kind of a good number too. Just got to win by a field goal.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, so those are your 3 picks. We can move into mine. The first one I'm going to do is a 6-point teaser. It is teasing the 49ers down to -1. That's Monday Night Football against the Vikings. And I'm also teasing the Seahawks down to -1.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. So first game, just quickly going through this before we do like the full game preview. Niners, Vikings, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, and Trent Williams. I expect them all to play. I do not see the 49ers losing 2 in a row, especially because the game they lost against the Browns, they got it was pretty unlucky in terms of them missing a field goal and then the penalty towards the end of the game that kept the Browns drive alive. So the Browns needed a lot to stay in that game. I'd find it hard to believe the Vikings get that amount of luck as well. And then also the Niners defense is still healthy. Vikings didn't look great without Justin Jefferson. I know last week on the 6-pack I had their team total over and they didn't hit it against the Bears. So they're scoring under 20 against the Bears. They're probably scoring under 20 against the Niners.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah. And then as for the Seahawks, I just think the Cardinals are tanking. I do not think they're good, especially since James Conner has been out. Their offense has really struggled. Josh Dobbs is still Josh Dobbs. He can have his moments, but he's still a guy with like under 10 career starts. He's going to be making mistakes. I think the Seahawks actually played really well defensively for the second half against Joe Burrow last week. So yeah, if they can handle Burrow, they can handle Dobbs. So that's my first one. 6-point teaser. Niners down to 1, Seahawks down to -1.5. And I have that at -138.
Real quick, I agree with you fading the Cardinals this week, but I do want to point out that Kyler Murray says he's tweeted that he's practicing. So Charlie, Bear, and I, our group chat, we're celebrating that this week.
I think he's going to be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, anything that increases their chances of winning, even if it's not a ton, that's good news for the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah, and like when
I sent a text to Brady with that tweet, and he replied, "So?" with a question mark. Just admit we're getting Caleb Williams or Drake May.
It's hard. It's hard to text Brady when all he wants to talk about is the English Championship League. It's like, dude, we don't need to talk 3rd-tier soccer right now. We want to
when
talk
he says
NFL.
names. When he says names of certain EPL teams, I almost think he's making them up. We should start texting me like, "I'm on Brentford this week." Like you can just make up. We're on Ashford. Like just make up names.
That's funny you brought up Brentford because he texted me and he is very adamant that his play of the week is Brentford -125.
Oh, Brentford's actually the name.
And
I thought I was making up something similar.
You made up something so good that it's actually real. So props to you on that.
They all sound the same. It's like Ashwich.
They do. There's like a suffix or a prefix you can add onto a word, and it's like, yeah, this works. But yeah, Brentford -125. I'm not going to die at the stake for that play, but Brady's a pretty knowledgeable soccer bettor. I'll probably tail it, throw a couple bucks on it, but that will not be going on our record. Regardless. So moving on. My second play is Browns -3. Yes, I'm a Browns fan. Yes, that could sound biased, but this is really a fade of Gardner Minshew, and I do think Deshaun Watson is playing. So it's Thursday night. He practiced today. I think the line will go up to maybe 4.5 once it's confirmed that he's playing. So I would get the Browns sooner rather than later. And then this correlates with my third play, and it's Colts team total under 19.5. Gardner Minshew threw 3 interceptions last week, looked terrible against the Jags. You've seen the Browns defense. They've guys, it looks like they're playing with 15 guys on the defense. So I do think the Browns win this game pretty handily.
Against the spread competition, I had the Colts +3. I didn't know about Deshaun Watson practicing today, so I'm removing that as we speak from the spreadsheet.
Smart.
I'm clearing that one out.
Smart.
If Deshaun Watson plays, then yeah, I mean, and also we can't change the line, so
Yeah.
I'm not taking it +3.
Yeah. All right. So you said you're getting rid of a play, so you need a play, correct?
I'm talking for my against the
Yeah.
spread. Yeah.
Because we do have
Yeah.
a guest picker available to give you some advice.
Oh.
Yeah. So while I'm bringing up his number here, let me just recap the 6-pack. We have Slade's picks being Bucks -2.5 against the Falcons. That's at -110. Packers -1 at the Broncos. That's at -110. Iowa, Minnesota under 31.5 -110. And then I have a 6-point teaser. Niners down to -1 at the Vikings. Seahawks -1.5 against the Cardinals. That's at -138. And then the Browns correlated parlay, Browns to cover the 3, and Colts team total under 19.5 at -110, -108 respectively. So yeah, looking forward to another winning week. Can't say we're going to be perfect, but I'm pretty confident. We're going to have another 4 or 5 win week. But yeah, all right. Without further ado, let's get the guest picker going. Hello. Is this Ryan Coiner?
Yes, it is.
You are the first guest picker in BET GPT history, and I hate to put you on the spot. I didn't know if you knew we were planning on calling you, but regardless, we need a betting play. Slade needs some advice. If you had to bet $1 million on any game this week, your life depends on it. Who are you taking?
I would pick the Commanders to beat the Giants by -2.5.
All right.
On Sunday.
Okay, Commanders to cover against the Tyrod Taylor-led Giants. Okay.
Adding that to my ATS. My ATS spreadsheet.
Slade is adding that up to his pick plays. All right. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate it. We will have you in as another you're like one of our correspondents, so we'd love to have you on for another episode if that's okay with you in the future.
It's fine.
Okay, cool. We'll catch you later. See ya.
See you.
It's fine. Love the enthusiasm.
It's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. That was awesome.
Ride dog. All right.
I'm sure Keel will love that pick. That's the Washington Commanders -2.5 versus the Giants.
Yeah. So let's get into that. Do you going into the NFL preview? Do you like the Commanders in that game? Where do you lean in?
I do. I hadn't played it yet, but I didn't honestly think about it a ton. I don't, because I've kind of just tuned out the NFC East for like the last 2 years. That I honestly never bet that division. But I do like that. The Giants are, as we know, terrible. I know they almost beat your Bills, but I think you said Danny Dimes is hurt. Mine has the time knock. Oh, there we go.
Keep going. Whatever. Correct.
Tyrod
Taylor's out?
Or Tyrod Taylor's playing. Sorry. Danny Dimes is
honestly,
out.
Maybe it's better they have Tyrod Taylor. He's not going to turn the ball over. Danny Dimes is all over the place. I think they have an out in his contract after next year, but they have another $40 million on the books next year.
I did read that. Yeah, I actually don't think the contract is as bad as people thought. It has the NFL contracts are never guaranteed fully. So they can get out of it with.
They're never guaranteed
there's an
fully
option or
unless
something
it's
on the
Deshaun
last.
Watson. Then yes, it is.
Unless you're the Browns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the pick. I don't know if it's a game I'll watch per se, but I do think the Commanders are better than the Giants.
I agree. All right. Next up, let's go back to the noon slate on Sunday. Falcons Bucks. This was one of your picks. Obviously, you kind of gave your handicap on that, and I'll just piggyback off you. I do like the Bucks -2.5. This Falcons offense is not good. I think the Bucks defense can stop Bijan. Because if the Falcons aren't able to run the ball and Ritter has to throw 30+ times, they have no chance. It's not happening. The Bucks still have those good defensive pieces in the backfield, and then Baker. I mean, he didn't look great last week. He skipped a couple passes to Godwin. Probably could have had at least a touchdown or two to him. I think he plays a little bit better, and I'll follow you and take the Bucks here.
Are the Bucks the definition of average? The more I think about it, like they're not bad anywhere. They're not great anywhere. They obviously have some strengths and some weaknesses, but like, they're just like they're gonna beat up on a lot of bad teams and lose to every good team they play.
Probably,
I feel like.
Which that might be enough to win the division.
I was gonna say that might get you to the playoffs.
This is a big game
this year
for playoff implications for sure, because there's probably only one team out of that division is going to make it, and it's not going to be the Panthers. So Saints tonight, Falcons, Bucks. Yeah,
it's a bigger game for the Bucks than it is the Falcons. I feel like, because you only get to play these two teams only play twice, and this is your home game. This is your home opportunity.
Speaking of a game being bigger for one team than the other, we have the Raiders, the 3-3 Raiders taking on the Bears. Raiders laying 3. If you would have told me before the season we'd have a Tyler Bagent against, is that how you say it? Bagent? If a Tyler Bagent against Aiden O'Connell game, I would be like, what? Who are we talking about here? It's Aiden O'Connell.
It was Hoyer who's playing or something. Oh, well, yeah, dude, that's going to be a really gross game. I feel bad for Bagent. He came into some really rough offensive line play last week. He still got a touchdown, but then he finished it with that awful throw. I don't really know what they're going to do. I think they just need to run the ball a ton. I don't really know who's back, though, at running back is the problem. Like, it's Dante Foreman looked pretty good, I thought, last week. So I guess I would just feed him. He's like your running back 4. If you might as well let him take a beating, and then once your other running backs are back, he'll go back to being an inactive. So just run him into the ground, get through the game.
So do you think the Bears have a chance here, or do you think they're...
I mean, they have a chance. 1, it's the NFL, and 2, the Raiders suck. I know they made Jordan Love look really bad, but how much worse can Bagent really look than that? True. That game was still winnable for the Packers despite how bad Jordan Love played.
Yeah. This game is just so gross. I'm not going to be betting this. I will be betting a player prop though.
Same.
Kind of the grease the squeaky wheel narrative. So Devontae Adams has been chirping a lot. He's not happy. He hasn't been getting the ball enough, yada, yada. I think Aiden O'Connell is actually good for Devontae Adams as opposed to Hoyer.
Jimmy G doesn't feed him the ball either.
So, it's over under 68.5 receiving yards, and I'm leaning the over. I'm probably Sunday morning. I'm gonna bet the over on Devontae Adams.
I do it. Fox does that Super 6 bet, or whatever the hell it's called. And one of the things has like ranked wide receivers based off like most yards you think they'll get. I put Devontae Adams pretty high. I mean, there's other good wide receivers on this, but I put him pretty high because 1, he's playing the Bears defense and we're not good. And 2, AOC seems to prefer Adams and Jimmy G seems to prefer Myers. So if AOC is the quarterback, then I like Devontae Adams a lot.
So that's definitely something to I guess, keep an eye on is, even though these teams suck and it's like these quarterbacks are nobodies, like these quarterbacks do, they do throw it to certain guys. And speaking of that, like I think DJ Moore is going to get a ton of targets. If they're not throwing it to him 10 plus times, they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I think that every time they've had a week where they didn't get him the ball a ton, the next week they force-fed him and it worked really well. I think that's an opportunity here. And then another good reason to play Devontae Adams is that dude has just killed the Bears like his whole career.
That's true.
Like he loves playing the Bears.
That is true. Okay, next game up, Browns-Colts. I gave my opinion on this. I think the Browns, I hate to be so confident, but I think they dominate this game. I'm not afraid of the Colts at all. Where are you at with this game?
If Deshaun Watson's playing, then I like the Colts or the Browns too. Anthony Richardson done for the year, confirmed. I don't think Gardner Minshew's a bad backup. but I just think the longer those type of guys play, the larger the
Yeah.
opportunities for
I
them
don't
to
think
get
he's a bad
exposed.
backup either, but he has a really good game, one out of every 4 or 5 games, and then the other ones are kind of just stinkers. So,
Yep.
I don't see it.
Yep.
Next up, this is a pretty good game. Lions against the Ravens. It's in Baltimore, and Ravens are laying 3 here. This could be, I guess a semi-long shot Super Bowl preview potentially. So, Lions, they should be getting Jahmyr Gibbs back. Jared Goff has kind of quietly been turning into an MVP contender in the NFC. Ravens, we've talked about them each episode. They're just so hot and cold. They looked good last week for a little bit. The week before, they didn't look great. They're all over the place.
These are the two teams that I preseason was kind of high on. I guess I was high on a couple different teams, but my AFC team that like from day one I was riding with was the Ravens, and then or to surprise people, and then my NFC team that I thought was going to surprise people, I can't even say it's the Lions because I think they were the most popular pick in the NFC. But I did think that they were the best or the most popular pick in the NFC North, but they were like the trendy pick of the offseason. But I've been kind of riding with them just because I hate the Packers. And I hated that whole offseason hype they got around winning the division. I don't know. I took the Lions in a teaser, a 7-point teaser to get it up to plus 10. That's the only play I have on this one because I don't trust the Ravens a lot because I watch them all the time. I have money on them. I have Lamar in fantasy, and every single time I just leave the game, except for one game, I've left feeling a little underwhelmed or disappointed. And then the Lions are like the exact opposite. So I was a little surprised by the plus 3. It's a good number. If you can get it up to plus 10, feels like you're probably going to be fine. The only real negative against the Lions here is this is in Baltimore, but it's not a night game.
This, I forgot these two teams played a couple years ago, and Justin Tucker hit a 66-yarder to win the game. So I can see this being a field goal game again. Obviously not a 66-yarder, but I just remember that game was crazy, and I highly suggest looking it up on YouTube because that was when his kick, it like hit the crossbar and bounced up and went over. Do you remember that? Yeah, it's crazy.
Vaguely.
He hits the
66
crossbar,
yards
it
is
like
pretty
goes
nuts.
straight up in the air. It's like slow motion, then it just falls in. Crazy stuff. But yeah, I would lean the Ravens here too. All right, I already know we're gonna disagree on this game. This is like I'm being a total hypocrite here, but I love the Patriots plus 8.5 against the Bills.
Well, you need them to win to get to your 7 wins. Yeah, I mean this is a hard place for you because you're picking between two teams you like, teams you have money on. Either way, you're gonna come out of this banging your chest that this is a winner for you. I don't know. I'm not betting it because I don't know what I want to happen. Actually, I know what I want. I want the Pats to win because I'm worried that they're going to be in the Caleb Williams running at this point.
True.
They're so bad.
Think like the Bills didn't look good last Sunday. Josh Allen's shoulder is a little bit banged up right now. I just think it's going to take some time. I think the Bills win, but I think it's a field goal game. I think 8.5 is way too much. I think Mac Jones can score. Actually, I'm not sure he can. No, I was going to say. I was going to say I think he can score 3. So we'll see. I could see a 10-3 game here, maybe. I don't know. I just think the 8.5 is too much in a divisional game. So yeah. I almost put that in the 6-pack, but I did not want to sweat that out, and I did not want to have to explain myself next week if the Bills won like 56-0. I couldn't do that.
I would have advised all of our listeners that if they're gonna play this, do like a half unit.
0.1 unit on Patriots. All right. Next up, Commanders, Giants. Or did you have something else? Oh, we did. Yeah,
we already did that.
We got my brother Ryan Coiner, aka Rye Dog, on the Commanders. Yeah, somewhere between 2.5,
Lock of the
3 there.
century.
Yeah, good there. Cardinals Seahawks. I gave my handicap on that earlier. I teased that down. I like the Seahawks at -7.5 as well. I just wish that half point wasn't on there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I typically stay away from the half point. Maybe that's just me being stubborn, but I don't know. I'm not playing it. The Steelers and the Rams game, I think, is an interesting one. I'm curious what your thoughts
Well,
are.
I was leaning the Steelers, but did you see TJ Watt didn't practice today?
Dude, I don't keep up with injuries enough. I think that's my biggest weakness as an NFL bettor is I don't follow the injury reports throughout the week close enough. Like I didn't know
Well,
Deshaun Watson was playing. I guess that's why you do your research before you actually place the bet. But like when I just am
it's
off the
not
cuff, I didn't know.
it's not for sure that Deshaun Watson is playing. I'm just assuming because he's practicing. So I took the risk and I'm trying to get ahead of that. But
I always want to bet against the Steelers because I just think their offense is so bad. But on the other hand, their defense just keeps them in the game. And it always ends up being closer than I think it will be or should be, unless they're playing the Texans, which still seems really random that was the team that blew them
yeah,
out.
that was pretty random. Yeah, TJ Watt didn't practice because of a heel injury. Not sure how serious that is. He had a finger injury a few weeks ago, and that he didn't miss any time off that. I think they're getting Deontay Johnson back as well, so Kenny Pickett's going to have some weapons. I was listening to one of your favorite podcasts, the Deep Dive podcast, and they were talking about how, I guess I can ask you this question since you didn't listen to it. What is the worst play that the Steelers run offensively?
A
Just any
pitch play to
Najee Harris.
Najee
It's not even
Harris.
that. It's it's Najee Harris right up the middle for 1 yard. It's maybe they're not going to do that because Aaron Donald is in the middle. Maybe they'll let's just pass. So
That's true. They can't try to convince themselves that there's a chance that's successful.
But yeah, Matt Canada, I'm not betting on him. He's not an OC I would want.
If I had to pick, I'd still take the Rams. I just actually think that's a really good line by Vegas. I really don't know if the final score ended up being 20-17 Rams, would I really be shocked?
The Rams are also missing their top 2 running backs. So they're probably going to be passing a lot of Cooper Kupp, a lot of Puka Nacua this game. So yeah, interesting.
All right, let's just get to the jump to the next one because I want to hear you try to explain to me why the Chargers are going to cover 5.5.
They're not. I just remember the Chiefs are off a 10-day break because they played last Thursday. Chargers are on short rest. They played Monday night. The Chiefs are gonna destroy them. That's all I have to say.
All right, I totally agree. The Chargers defense I don't think is bad. I just think that the Chiefs defense is going to play okay and Mahomes is going to do his thing. And 5.5 is not a small number, but it's there's really no difference for me typically between 4 and 5.
If you don't feel great about that, you could just tease it down as well. You could throw that as a teaser leg. What are you thinking about the Chiefs getting McCole Hardman? They traded for him for a 6th-round pick, getting him back from the Jets. You think that's going to do anything, or is he just going to kind of play a similar role where he's doing 10, 15 snaps?
I mean, I don't think it hurts. At the very least, he's depth. He's someone Mahomes is comfortable with. I don't think you make that trade without talking to Mahomes about it first. So that's where I feel pretty good about it. I don't think he's going to necessarily be the reason they win or lose a Super Bowl, but I don't know. They're 1 injury away from that getting really desperate.
I think when you're trading for a guy mid-season, it's hard for them to pick up the playbook, and I think it's good that he already knows probably 75% of the Chiefs playbook. So it should be
just bring back Juju. Just bring back the whole wide receiver core from last year.
That'd be funny. Yeah, Juju, I don't think he's done anything on the Patriots, and the Patriots signed him over Jacoby Myers, so that's a huge strike against Bill Belichick.
Dude, the Patriots wouldn't let Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson look good. So I'm not blaming Juju for having Mac Jones and
The
the Pats
Athletic released a
offense.
mock today, and it had the Bears picking Caleb Williams 1 and the offensive tackle from Penn State at 2. 3, the Patriots are picking Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like that pick makes literally 0 sense. I can't see that happen.
Wait, they had the
Yes.
Bears taking that tackle at 2? I feel like you would trade back. I don't want to get into draft stuff yet, but like I think in that case, I would trade back unless they really just don't think there's like any other good
I
tackles in this
agree. I mean, a
class.
lot of these mocks have no trades anyway, but yeah, that's something. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the first.
Dude, teams would trade up for Marvin
Yeah.
Harrison or Drake May in a heartbeat, and you could get a haul and still get the same player 2 picks
No,
later.
I agree. Packers Broncos, we already talked about that. We're both taking the Packers there. Dolphins Eagles Sunday Night Football, best game of the week. Let me hear what you're thinking on this one.
Yep. I'm rooting for the Dolphins, so I'm really trying to not be biased, but I do think that the Dolphins have looked better this year. And I don't think that's biased to say. I know everybody's going to make the game about like Tua versus Hurts, blah, blah, blah. To me, it just comes down to the Dolphins defense because we've seen them look really bad at times. And we've also seen them be pretty decent at times. And they're kind of the X factor for how far that team can go because I don't think there's any offense outside of maybe the Chiefs that I trust to consistently put up 25 plus than them. So I always know they're going to get theirs. It's just, are they one going to take care of the ball, and 2, is the defense going to show up?
Do you think that there's an issue or there's going to be an issue because the Dolphins played the Giants and Panthers on back-to-back weeks? This is a pretty big step up as compared to those kind of bottom dwellers.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to play yet because you also have the last time they played a somewhat physical team in the Bills, they got destroyed. And I would say that the Eagles are
The
even more
Dolphins
physical
also,
than them.
all of their games have been in like 70-degree, like perfect weather. Now they're playing at Philly, hostile environment, night game. There's going to be some like 15-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yeah, you're right. Let's take the Eagles minus
Yeah.
2.5 because I'm just riding with the Philly fan base. I trust the Philly crowd to show up like the way they are for baseball right now on that Sunday night game. That place is like second straight October of being just like the coolest sports city in America. I think they'll show up. They'll make Tua's life hell. And the Eagles are still really talented. And every time it seems like a team kind of like has that what the F game, they bounce back. And I expect that from the 49ers as well this week.
Yeah. I totally agree. And yeah, I'm on the Eagles as well. Just real quickly, one more point about that game. I think the Eagles can have like those 10, 12 yard or 10, 12 play drives, and they're just going to tire out the Dolphins. And the way you beat the Dolphins is keep their offense off the field. So, yeah, we're leaning the Eagles.
Their defensive line is still awesome too. Like they just have really good line play. I don't know how great their like linebackers are. I don't really know a ton about the back end of their secondary, but they still have a really good offensive line and a really good defensive line. And I know Lane Johnson got hurt last week, but that doesn't necessarily sound like it's going to be like a season-ending thing from what I've heard. So I don't think it's like a long-term
No, I think they're fine
impact.
there. One thing to keep an eye on is they have Darius Slay. He's questionable to play, and then same with Jalen Carter and Devontae Smith because of a hamstring.
Yeah, I was gonna say Devontae Smith and Lane Johnson both practiced today, so that makes me feel a lot better because those are like maybe 2 of their top 5, 6 most important players. Lane Johnson,
he definitely does
awesome.
a lot up front. All right. Yeah. So Vikings, Niners. I think we're both taking the Niners there. Cool.
Yeah. I like the Niners. I think I mentioned that kind of while talking about the Eagles. I'm just going to take the 49ers to bounce back. They're playing the Vikings. The Vikings defense isn't great. I think that, like you said about the Vikings offense last week, they struggled against the Bears. I can't imagine what it's going to look like against the 49ers. I don't know. It's also the weather's not going to be a factor. It's in a dome, and a lot of people are saying that like Brock Purdy struggles last week were because of the weather
Yeah.
in Cleveland. So take any variables you can take out of this game. I think only help
totally
the 49ers.
Agree. Totally agree. All right. That's a wrap on NFL. Let's jump into college football. Let's start with Iowa. I know you kind of broke down the game already, but I want to go through these player props with you. You mentioned that you think that Minnesota is going to basically just load up the defensive line, make it hard for them to run, and Deacon Hill is going to be forced to pass. Like I mentioned earlier, and you guessed, his over-unders is right around 105 for passing yards. His passing yards have to go to someone, and Nico Reganey, he is over 18 and a half yards plus 100. I know it's gross, but I would love to bet that.
Agree.
It just takes two. It takes one. 18 and a half yards for a 5-year player.
Let's do it. 18 and a half. Yeah, he's probably the closest thing to a safety net they have in the passing game now without Lachey, without All.
Yeah.
I mean, if they even get down at all, if they get down a possession or two, they have to throw the ball. So the odds of that, I just think it's hard to see them running the ball 40, 50 times every week the rest of the way. Maybe this play won't hit this week, but it's going to hit at some point because Deacon Hill is going to be forced to try to win them a game or lead them back in a game. And maybe it's not that they're down 10, but maybe they're down 6 and field goals aren't going to get it done. And they're going to need him to take a shot deep.
Are you saying you want to martingale the Nico Reganey overs? Is that what you're insinuating here?
Yeah, let's just keep playing a Nico Reganey over until it eventually hits.
Oh, man. Shout out to him for sticking with the Hawks program for so long. Not a lot of guys would be happy with the limited volume that he gets, but he always has a smile on his face. He always, he's dependable. I know he was a little bit injured towards the beginning of the year, but he seems healthy and fine to play.
Dude, he's like really high up on the all-time
snaps,
on the all-time Iowa receiving list, probably snap list, probably the most win sprints in school history list. But how many games? This isn't part of an over/under, but how many games do you think it's going to take Deacon Hill before he passes Cade in passing yards? He still hasn't. Cade might finish the year leading the team in passing yards at this rate. Possible. Deacon Hill has 311 and Cade has 505. If he had 37 last week and 100, so he's gone 115, 110, and 37.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I don't see a ton of passing yards this week. I do like that Reganey over, but they're probably gonna have to run. Caleb Johnson and LaShawn Williams, they're the two running backs, kind of 1A and 1B. Caleb Williams, well, let me ask you, I guess, who do you think is going to have more opportunity and more rush yards this Saturday?
Kirk said LaShawn Williams
he's at 64, and Caleb Williams is at 59. Or Caleb Johnson.
It's going to come down to whoever breaks the big one. Yeah, it's going to come down to whoever breaks the big one. They've each had one the last 2 weeks. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to play either.
Yeah, that's kind of the most notable things I listed here. Passing TDs, if you want to get a little crazy, Deacon Hill to have 4 passing touchdowns. It's only 21-1. Give me like 100-1 on that.
What? That should be like
That's
his
crazy,
total for the
21 to 1,
month.
because I was looking at the Josh Allen rush touchdowns. To have 3 rush touchdowns, that was 140 to 1, which I feel like that's way more likely to have 3 rush touchdowns than Deacon to have 4 passing touchdowns. Yeah.
3 QB sneaks and
Yeah.
or 2 QB sneaks and 1 scramble. Like that's Deacon Hill having 4 touchdowns is not going to happen. Any others?
Any team to score 40 plus points, the no is minus 10,000.
Should we put like $10 on it just to win a penny?
That'd be hilarious. The yes is 11 plus 1150. Just anyone to score 40 plus. And then I guess to end it off this, I did make one bet, and let me know if you agree. First score of the game is a touchdown. I said no. I bet at plus 133. I think there's going to be a field goal to start the game.
Don't forget the possibility of a safety.
All right. I would hate to lose it off that, but that just made me really regret this. Which I should not have to worry about a safety being the first score of the game, but this is Iowa football, so you do have to keep that in count. All right. Anything else on the Iowa game?
I think I will win because I think Minnesota's pretty
They're only
terrible.
3.5 point underdogs, though.
Yeah, I know, and it's in Iowa City. Iowa's wearing the gold jerseys. They've never won in gold jerseys. I don't know if that's actually a trend or if they're just like 0-2, but notable nonetheless. We'll hope they look better than the ones they wore in like 2019.
Them wearing gold jerseys.
They looked like shit. They had like weird fake feathers on them. They lost to Penn State, I think. But either way, I think the big game of the weekend that most people are gonna be dialed into is the Penn State at Ohio State game. That one's in the shoe, and it's at noon. I don't know about you, but why the hell is that not like the ABC night game?
I don't know, but I'm happy because that's 9 a.m. on the West Coast. I'm literally going to get up at like 8:50 and brush my teeth and go downstairs and watch the game. So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I love the noon slate. But Penn State is a 4.5 point underdog. Nicholas Bear on our last episode said he thought Penn State was going to win by 2 scores.
Yeah, so because of that, we've agreed never
the line
to have
has
him
moved
on
the
the
other
show
way
again, because that is.
I played Penn State at plus 4.5 today. I do think that they're probably a little better, but James Franklin has had issues getting over this hump. So you're kind of betting on like, do they have the balls, or they have the winning DNA to get it done? Because they might actually be more talented. So that's kind of the big game of the weekend. I don't know if you have any plays here. But I just wanted to let the listeners know I am taking.
No, I'm just gonna enjoy this game. I don't know enough about Ohio State. I guess I mean I've watched both these teams play multiple times here and there, but I don't feel confident enough to say anything.
If you want to know how good Vegas thinks the Wisconsin team Iowa just beat is, they are a 2-point favorite over Illinois. An Illinois team that until like last week, I don't even know if they had a Power 5 win.
That you have to bet Wisconsin, don't you?
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. If Illinois wins that game, Iowa is definitely winning the Big Ten.
Until Illinois beat Maryland last week, which I was kind of surprised about, they had lost to Nebraska by 2 scores, Purdue by 3 scores, and then Penn State by 3 scores, and then Kansas by 2 scores. They had not stayed within 1 possession of a Power 5 team until last week.
Yeah, because you and your bonus plays, you took
that
Maryland,
says a lot.
right? So that did not go how you thought it was going to go.
No, yeah, that was not a good play by me.
It's all good.
Forgive me, everyone. It is a hard week, I would say. Like, I was kind of surprised to see USC as a 7-point favorite over Utah. Basically, people kind of view Utah as like Iowa on steroids a little bit. their offense isn't as bad as ours, but they kind of have that same reputation of just like they have to win really ugly. And then USC just kind of got shit on. So I was surprised to see they're still a 7-point favorite. I'm staying away from it. It is at USC. I just think that USC they're kind of soft. We know they aren't kind of soft. They are soft. And how bad can Utah be offensively against them? I mean, they made Notre Dame, who was not great offensively at points this year, look awesome. Scored 40 something.
Yeah, it's hard because in these games, Caleb Williams can just go off and have 5 touchdowns, and it doesn't even matter what the other 21 guys on his team are doing. But
yeah, I forget this isn't the NFL, and like 7 points isn't it? Doesn't feel as much. Oregon's a 20-point favorite over Washington State. Washington State, who beat Wisconsin by
seems
9.
like a lot, but
yeah. The other big game is Tennessee at Alabama. Alabama is a 9.5-point favorite. I actually played Tennessee plus 9.5. I don't think that Tennessee's gonna win, but I just feel like 9.5 was a decent number, and I teased it, I think, up to like right around 16, 17. I know I got over 14. I wanted it to be over 2 possessions, but that's Jalen Milroe versus Joe Milton is like Spider-Man meme pointing at each other right now.
You know how I feel about Jalen Milroe. So
it's in Alabama. It's an afternoon game. The fourth quarter will be at night, I guess. But I think Alabama's going to win. But if you're going to give me a couple possessions,
that's fair.
I'm going to take Tennessee.
That's fair. I don't have a play on that game. I'm inching closer. My finger's inching closer to the submit button on Bama to win the national title. Just saying.
And then the other ranked matchup is Duke, Florida State. I don't think Duke is very healthy at all, and that's kind of ruining the hype for this game. Duke has won some really gross games in their last few. But I don't know. Florida State's a 14.5.
Riley Leonard has a chance of returning. How effective is he going to be? If he was at 100%, I do think Duke could win. But I
just think you're getting a game where it's kind of ruined by an injury. And so if 14.5 isn't exactly a bettable spread, in my opinion, I'm staying away from it. It's the night game on ABC. I would have rather them, but I understand why the networks did that, because they probably thought Riley Leonard was going to play and that was going to be a big game and all this, and it just didn't work out that way. I would argue that the actual better ACC night game is the Clemson-Miami game. Both teams are still alive for the ACC title game, but I would say the loser goes home. Clemson is a 3-point favorite. I don't really have a play.
Yeah, if you not really having a play means you're probably going to bet Clemson.
Well, here's the thing. I have my largest bet of the offseason was the Clemson over 9.5. And so they have to win out now. I'm kind of screwed. They still have Miami left. They still have Notre Dame left. NC State isn't an automatic win. And then UNC. They are not going to run the table. I've accepted it. So I guess I don't even care at this point.
Speaking of futures, I forgot I had this pending. I have $100 on Central Michigan over 5.5 wins. You know anything about Central Michigan football? Well, they are currently 4-3, so they only need 2 more wins. They still have to play Ball State, Northern Illinois, Western Michigan, Ohio, and Toledo. So got to keep an eye on that for me. Good old MAC football, right? Other futures I got the Hawks over 8, so that's looking good. We didn't have any official BET GPT overs. I know you're high on NC State. Do you feel like they're gonna get over their win total or not?
They are literally very dangerously close. It could come down to one of their last couple of games. I haven't watched their last game, but they lost 24-3. So I'm not feeling like they're playing very good football. They've played some really ugly games against like inferior competition. So I don't know. They're 4-3 right now. I need them to get to 7. They still have Clemson and Miami left. So where are they going to get these last 3 wins? I don't see it because they're not going to beat UNC, Miami, or Clemson. So I think they're going to go 6-6. They have Wake Forest and Virginia Tech that they're going to be favored against.
You never know if Miami.
I need a miracle.
They could find a way to lose.
Yeah. It's that one's at home. I just man. This is going to lose by
my other future drive is Kansas over 5.5. They're 5-2 right now. They have Oklahoma, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Kansas State, and Cincinnati left. So I'm hoping they can get one more. Really?
Cincinnati blows. Yeah. They have no their quarterback is Emory Jones. He's basically the college football equivalent of who is your quarterback? PJ Walker.
We'll be all right there. Yeah, Cincinnati's last in the Big 12. Yeah. Anything else college football related?
No, I'm gonna tweet out my plays. It's gonna be a very short list. I think this is a hard week. I'm really probably only gonna have like 3 or 4, but I'll tweet them out as I play them.
Sounds good. Okay. I think we can keep this one under an hour. Yeah.
Real quick on baseball though, the Rangers are up 2-1.
Yeah.
Phillies are up 2-0. Or 2-1 also. That I think the Diamondbacks are about to win. So we might have a series in both rounds. I took the Rangers and the Phillies to both win their series in a parlay at plus 325. I still feel pretty good about it, regardless of how the last games have gone.
Yeah,
in each series.
I was talking to Brady Cheezel. He was on our Cubs podcast, or a podcast. I think it was like, I don't know, our 6th or 7th episode. He said he was interested in coming back on, so maybe we'll do like a World Series preview. It'd be fun to break down like MVP odds and kind of who we think's going to win, and then in terms of other cool player props are available too. So looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's talk about Max Scherzer for a second. Do you think it was a good idea he played yesterday? He looked bad. On paper, it looked like a good idea.
No.
And then you're like, wait, the last time he played was 7 weeks ago, and he pitched fine, but 5 days before that, he gave up 7 runs against the Astros. Like, I don't know.
So Scherzer lasted 4 innings, gave up only 5 hits, but had 5 earned runs with 1 walk. Man, he did throw a decent number of strikes. He got hit hard. Like they didn't hit him. They didn't get a ton of hits off him. They just hit him really hard.
Yeah,
and he had a wild pitch that cost him a run too.
Series goes to 6 or 7 games, and Scherzer pitches again. I will be betting the Astros, even though I hate them.
I hedged a little bit. I took the Astros yesterday. I know your deep dive pod gave that out as well. So that hit. I am getting a little nervous about the Rangers in this series because I think the longer it goes on, the more it favors the Astros. You kind of gave them your punch. You go up 2-0. Every time the Astros win, they're gaining confidence, and they're a team that already was probably the more confident team going in. Now you have a team who hasn't been there before, other than maybe Corey Seager. They haven't been there before, and now they're getting punched back in the mouth, and that we'll see how they handle it. I mean, if it's 2-2
after tonight, see how tonight's game goes. They have Andrew Heaney on the mound. That's not going to look good.
I still think the Phillies win in like 6, but I think this one, I'm starting to feel like it could be Astros in 7.
I feel the same way. Okay, cool. Well, we're just right here under an hour. We can end it here. We want to thank everyone for listening. Please check us out on YouTube as well. Subscribe there. Give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. Tell your friends. Slade is visiting next week. We're gonna be together recording, so we're looking forward to that. But until then, we appreciate you guys tuning in today, and we'll catch you guys next time on Bet GPT. Thanks.